What's up, bud?
Yo.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
Good.
I have a mail day, you have a mail day.
Yeah.
Only one? Only one card for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As people come in, I'll do mine, and then mine's more of an opening act, and then mine will be done, and then it will be time for you to do yours. All right.
It's not that big.
Here goes mine.
Oh, nice.
2017 Select Premier Level Die Cut Gold McCaffrey. Number 3 of 10.
How'd you find that one?
Oh, little birdie sent it to me.
Yeah. That's good. That's
Shout
a nice
out
one, dude.
Flippity Flip for the deal, and shout out Josh for pointing it to me.
Don't you have a couple select rookies up here? Oh no, you have that die cut Mahomes. You had 2 of those, right?
Yes, I still have one. Those are
Oh,
cool. Yeah, I like the die cuts personally. I mean, and they don't seem to be very popular among collectors of modern, so that's even better. More for me at a better price.
Glad that deal worked out. 2 guys I really liked. Good job. Good work. All right, let's see. So I have two reveals. One of them is the card. So we'll start there. If I can get this right first try. There we go. So this is the original Jambalaya, 97-98. Penny Hardaway. I bought it a couple weeks ago. I did the $200 service at PSA and got it back in about 2 weeks.
Nice. Damn, that's a great turnaround.
Yeah, it was only in their system. I shipped it to them. It was in their system 2 days after they got it. And then I got the grade 10 days after that, pretty fast. And then shipped it 2-day shipping. So I was very impressed. I told you I'm like hey, Brian, I actually got this from Brian. Shout out. Thanks, Brian. He's in the chat. I bought it from him raw and got this as a PSA 8. I was saying to you the other night that I think a lot of people aren't happy about PSA and like the orders and the turnaround times, but I feel like they're finding their sweet spot of what I think it should be. But that's just my own personal opinion as a collector. So I understand why people want like the lower tier services back to be able to flip cards, but like this is the kind of range I think you should be grading cards at. Just my personal opinion, like the 1,000 and up kind of thing. I think that's what it was meant for originally. And I think they're finding their sweet spot with that. The turnaround time is very good for this stuff. So just my opinion. The other thing I was going to point out, this is new plastic. I talked to Nat today, and he said yes, they have new plastic on their cases, and it's it's much sturdier. Like when I took it out of the box, it felt very different. It's a lot more clear. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know if you can see that, but like the slab is a lot more clear than it used to be, and there's actually an inner sleeve in here. I don't know if you could see that. I think the inner sleeve might be just because it's the Jambalaya, because the card is die cut, but it might be on all slabs. I guess we'll see. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe it is an inner sleeve. I just sort of like see like a little something in there. Very different.
It's a good inner sleeve if you can't tell if it's there or not.
Remember how like I think it was CGC that has like the super clear plastic, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. I feel like they saw that and was like, I want that clear plastic. It's a lot more clear and it feels a little bit more sturdy. Yeah, it is a sleeve. Card Scout says he got it on his Herbert. You really can't even see it because it's so clear, but it's definitely something. It's interesting. I like it a lot better, actually. I like the slab.
Nice.
It's a slim film, not a sleeve. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. CSG. I always get that company's name wrong.
Yeah, well, CGC is the parent company, or is it C? and then they have a CCG as a subsidiary of the CGC, and CSG.
I'm never gonna get any of that. So, and I also have this sitting on my desk.
Wow, nice. Why is that sitting out?
Oh, it's my desk. So.
Oh, that's your card at work for the day.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
You'd think it would be this, but that'll be next week. That's it.
Nice. What's up, Mike? Shout out Mike Gino. That's awesome, man. Congrats. We both had a little mail day over here. Let me do an announcement quickly here. Part 4 of the Card Ladder 4-part series on the National is now out as of about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah,
So,
excellent.
Final part, fun episode. And it concludes our national experience. So please take a minute, go check that out.
I just saw what Mike said. Hey.
Okay. So that was my only announcement for the time being. Did you have any announcements to make today, Josh? And by the way, guys, welcome to the crossover. It's Friday, August 27th. Can't believe August is almost over.
Nope, this was like a pretty quiet week, so I'm looking forward to this week more than most because we're gonna talk about cards.
No doubt. Actually, I have another announcement. Christina was a guest on the Sports Card Nonsense podcast this week. The latest episode features Christina. She filled in admirably for Jesse, who was under the weather. So thanks to Sports Card Nonsense, thanks to Mike for bringing Christina in. She did a great job. So, all right.
I'll never spell my name that way. That is ridiculous.
All right,
I think we should go for a walk.
The chat is warmed up already. All right. I want to
That's a
open
good
this
point.
question. This question comes from In Cardboard Veritas. Mason Ferrulli was the greatest thing in the hobby this year, perhaps. And then it got even better when he met with Aaron Judge the other night, and it put it over the top. And so let me just show you guys, for those of you who don't know what this is in reference to. Mason Ferrulli is a kid. He's a 4-time cancer survivor. That's right. He swept cancer. And here he was, he went viral this week when he pulled an Aaron Judge 1-of-1. Pretty touching video, honestly, if you watch it. It's pretty awesome. And that's him and his dad. And then he met Aaron Judge this week. A couple people worked behind the scenes. I don't know the whole story here. Card Porn made a post about it today if you want to read more of the details. But he got to meet Aaron Judge this week and kind of spoke to the power of the hobby, quite frankly, and to a great kid and to a great athlete. So, heartwarming story brought to you through the hobby.
Wow, good for Aaron Judge. That's a great little moment to. I mean, he's gonna remember that just as much as that kid. I think it's a great moment for everybody involved. And man, we need more stuff like that and less stupid videos about shilling and shady companies. That'd be great.
Well, unfortunately, our ratio of good news to salacious news is 1 to 5 today. So there was our dose of good news. Now we've got some hobby stuff to talk about. So first topic up is the Pwcc Marketplace Research Tool. So do people in the chat, are you guys familiar with what that was? It existed for a while. I know most of the collectors that Josh and I chat with used it from time to time. You used to be able to get to it on from Pwcc's page. You would just go down to research, and if you were logged in, there would be something that said Market Price Research Tool, but now it's gone, and it's been replaced with something called Pwcc Sales History. which is still a very powerful tool. Normally it loads when I click it. Must be my internet or something going slow. There we go. So this is normally, this is a very powerful tool as well. This is a window into PWCC's sales history of all of their auctions going way back. Their auctions go back to January of 2008. But the market price research tool is now gone. And that tool used to contain a window into eBay sales history. And it wasn't a perfect window because the fixed price best offer section of that data set went bad around June of 2019. But this tool is now gone. And that's unfortunate because it had tens of millions of eBay sales. And so we had a few questions on this. Frankie 3500 said it probably went unnoticed, but there was a cleanup of the PWCC sales history tool. A lot of data was lost. CardEC Sports Card says collateral damage in the PWCC and eBay drama was the removal of eBay data from the marketplace research tool. If we want to look at historic prices beyond eBay's 90-day recently sold window, what is our best option? So the best option right now, CardEC, is TerraPeak if you want to conduct a search, or going one by one to the different auction archives of the various auction houses and trying those out as well. That's a very scattered resource because TerraPeak only gives you 1 year worth of data, which now I think it is absolutely incumbent on eBay to open up sales history immediately. I think that's absolutely incumbent on them to do that now that we don't have access to that data, but I would be surprised if they did. So I think right now you have to use TerraPeak for 1 year. You have to try and piece together searches from auction houses and hope that the card you're looking for has a sale somewhere in there. But this is a devastating blow to data in the hobby. One in a series of several blows that has happened recently, whether it was the WorthPoint database going down or sportscards.com's database going down, and now this database goes down too. So do you have any comments on the loss of the PWCC market research tool?
I mean, it's obviously in conjunction with what happened between PWCC and eBay. PWCC was working with eBay. They had access to some of their data clearly, and then since that split has occurred, I mean, without speaking to the PWCC guys direct, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it seems as though either they were asked to take it down or they took it down. So this is a pretty devastating blow to the hobby for sure. I know a lot of guys that use that search, and frankly, you now need to go to Card Ladder if you want all-time sales history. So we could probably just end it with that without doing a big pump job of ourselves. We have a lot of this all-time sales history inside Card Ladder if you're a pro member. I'm not sure where else you go now.
Agreed. And, hopefully there's some work being done behind the scenes somewhere with some people to try and make eBay's all-time sales history available by search again. But rest assured that Card Ladder will continue to add new cards. And as new cards get added to our database, they will have all-time sales histories. So we're going to continue to supply all-time sales history for the cards in our database. And it is a big blow. And it really increases confidence. That's going to be a theme of today's show, I think. It increases confidence in our industry when all-time sales histories are available. So I urge eBay at this point to make their all-time sales history available.
The PWCC auction archive is probably the best data set that you could find on the internet right now, because their auctions use high quality scans, their descriptions are consistent. You could see their pricing. It's very organized. Their search is powerful. So the data set that was taken down was pretty messy and unorganized because that's just how eBay is. They just have so much data. It's really hard to organize it, but PWCC's auction archive is very organized and it's very good data. So you could still get quite a bit of information by going through that. You just won't be able to piece together as much stuff because it's a fraction of the overall sales data from eBay. That's just the reality.
Right on. Okay. So Flippity Flip Cards says, shout out to Flippity Flip, MVP of the first hour. Please discuss HBO Real Sports' clickbaity sports card segment. So first of all, we had some friends and associates in that segment, and we love their appearances. Okay, so let's say that right off the bat, and that it's a very good thing when great people in the hobby are showing up on HBO. That's a great thing. All right, so with that being said, what's your take on Real Sports segments on sports cards this week?
I thought it was entertaining. HBO always has good content. It was cool to see Adam Rips on there. I've known him for a few years. Really smart, great kid. It was good. I still just we've said this like a million times now, but I promise you the way to get people into the hobby and keep them is not through money. I know that seems like the really easy answer, and it's just the very simple thing to do, and it's just hey, you can get rich by flipping cards and making sports bets. I still just think the overall collectability and cultural aspect of cards is what keeps people, and it's what gets people really hooked, and then it drives future nostalgia, and it drives reboots. There's so many things that collecting of the cards that frankly a lot of these other things can't replicate, and that's the reason they're going to struggle, i.e. Top Shot. So maybe you and I just need to make that documentary. Clearly these big companies they want to take the approach of the the money aspect, the financial side of the hobby, which is fine. It's the easy thing to get viewership on. Our documentary would probably get less viewership, but it would have better sustainability long term and growth in the hobby, I feel. So I don't know, maybe we just need to make that documentary, and I just need to stop complaining about every doc not being exactly what I want.
No, you're right, man. There's a quality versus quantity discussion to be had in terms of viewership and hobby content. And in this instance, I think I could sort of synthesize what you're saying into, would you rather have a smaller audience, maybe even 1/100th the size of the audience, but half the people who see it become enthralled with the content and take the hobby seriously and get involved for the right reasons? Or you can have a gigantic audience, but the only people who gravitate towards the content based on how the hobby was portrayed are people who see it as a way to make money and then leave, or people who don't really care to get involved in the hobby or to participate in the community. So I think the trade-off always falls in favor of building authentic, real fans of the content. And so before we get into maybe any specific breakdowns of what happened on the episode, a couple things I would say to your point too, Josh, because you've emphasized this since you started Cardboard Chronicles, and my philosophy has been similar, and I took some cues from you, which is that the way to portray the hobby, in my opinion, is that it's fun, it's an improvement in the quality of my daily life, there's community surrounding it, and it connects me nostalgically to a great time in my life when I was a carefree kid who liked to collect cards. And what's the key ingredient to getting people in the hobby and keeping them here? Simple. If their life is better with the hobby than without the hobby, chances are they're going to continue to do the hobby. So how do you make the hobby improve your life? How do you integrate the hobby into your life to make it better? You build community. You develop networks. You develop social media pages. If you like to make content, you make content. You go on Clubhouse. You go on Twitter. You go on Instagram. You go on Facebook. You go on forums. You go to local card shops. You go to trade nights. You go to shows. You build a collection. You go back and relive those old Beckett magazines. You figure out what it is that you like about cards. Why do cards mean something to you? Can you share that experience with others? If you harness and develop and nurture those psychological principles that have controlled and influenced collecting for many years, and that's why we did several Card Ladder YouTube episodes on the psychology of collecting, so that we're not just speculating here. These things have psychological, scientific bases for why people like collecting and why they stay around collecting and why they like to keep doing it. So we don't have to just throw darts aimlessly to dartboard. There are real reasons why people become collectors and why they stick with it. And while money is a factor and it is part of our market, and you do need to be conscious of the market so that you don't make bad decisions, you don't overpay for things, and you don't, undersell one of your own items, money is secondary. Money only matters if people love the items and people want to participate in the market. Otherwise, it's a bubble. What do you think about all that?
It's a lot, man. It's a lot of good stuff. The only other thing I would add to what you were saying is Education being another baseline for an important aspect of your long-term viability and fun you're having. Like if you just come into it wanting to have fun or you just want to have the money side, I think you get burnt out on either if you're not educating yourself on the proper ways to go about it. And that's always been another thing that I've stressed over and over is like you need to educate yourself on the prices, the fluctuations, the volatility, the rarity, all these things. You need to understand them because as you research and learn more things, you're going to make better decisions, which is going to lead to you having more fun and more likely to stay. So they all kind of go together. It's probably some like chart of like where they overlap and how they circle around or whatever. That's the only thing I'd add. Everything else you said is fantastic.
Great point. Education is key on so many levels. And you know what? If you're for lack of a better word, a nerd such as myself, education is fun, and it's fun to learn about cards. And the further you go, the more you like it. All right, let's break down the episode a little bit. Mike Geo, first of all, Christina's co-host on the Sports Card Nonsense podcast this week, was a star of the trailer, and he was a large selling point used to bring people in. And then he got a smaller segment in the episode, which was crazy to me because I thought he had the most compelling content in the trailer. But maybe, there's future segments that feature him more. But Mike was in there, and he was great. I loved a line from from Kurt Rappaport. I'd never heard of him before, although apparently TMZ has done some stories on him. And Rappaport was escorted to his residence by 3 security vehicles, and he has 40 million in cards and whatnot. But when they asked him the pivotal question, he just got done explaining why his Honus Wagner card, he bought it for something like 3 to 3.5 million, and then he got offered 2.5 times the value of it. And the interviewer correctly says, "So your card's gone up 2.5 times in a year. Why don't you sell it?" Okay, because basically he's saying, "I've gotten an offer of 10 million and I turned it down." And his reply was very simple, and the reply was, "Because I prefer to have the card than the money." And that's, in a nutshell, what keeps a market robust, is when the people who own the items that are part of the market prefer the item to its cash equivalent at its market price. And why do people prefer an item to a cash equivalent? Pride of ownership, obsession with collecting, passion for collecting, the status that owning a card like the Honus Wagner can convey, on and on, so forth. So I really enjoyed Rappaport's segment. Hobby, young gun, up and comer, Adam Rips represented the hobby, especially the youth, quite well. I really like at the end, Josh, we were talking about this at the end of his segment, he likened art to the hobby. The sports cards are sort of our art. What did you think? Did you have any takes on any specific segments?
Yeah, I liked Adam's pieces for sure. He's been around for quite a few years. Like he was here before sort of the boom, so he's got like a nice foundation of like collecting and doing it for the love of it. So like I know that Adam has a good strong take on the hobby, and I think they tried to ask him about like the COVID thing, and he sort of pointed out that he was talking more about how like sports are the connection that our generation has more so than like art, and like this is sort of our way of expressing ourselves through collecting, and art is like this is our version of it, and he thinks that's going to be more stable long term. Like people in our generation would rather have a Jordan rookie than I think he said like a Monet or whatever other artists there are. So that really stuck out to me, and because you and I have sort of discussed the I don't want to call it laziness, but like the laziness of COVID being the reason for everything that's ever happened in the hobby that's good. And you and I know that it's really more so to do with like the nostalgia and the connection back to your childhood of collecting and getting back into it, and researching and learning all these new things. And we were already seeing that momentum before COVID. COVID was just kind of like a catalyst to push us up a little bit quicker maybe than we would have, but I could maybe even argue that's not a good thing. But anyways, I like that he touched on something more simple than more than just like the simple, yeah, it was just COVID.
Agreed. Okay. Any other thoughts on the HBO segment before we move on? No. Okay, let's go. All right. Big topic this week. This comes in from Guess the Grade. we got 2 comments on this. I'm going to put them together. Guess the Grade says, will you discuss your thoughts about the situation with WADA? And Pwcc says, transparency in the hobby is a big topic for me. And then he says, parentheses, this is a vague but wide-ranging concern of mine. So, what do you think? Admittedly, I'm not an expert whatsoever in the sealed video game markets. I did watch a documentary. I did read some follow-up pieces on it. But, you know, a lot of the players and the moving pieces and the facts, I just don't have them readily accessible because it's just a lot of it is unfamiliar to me. But I do have some general takeaways that we might be able to apply to the hobby. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts on the situation with WADA, the expose that came out earlier this week on YouTube and whatnot?
Yeah. I mean, I got into that space a little bit. I interviewed Dennis. I had him on my show. I know some guys in that space. I had purchased a few games, like ones that I was interested in my childhood, but you obviously never saw me talk about it. I didn't want to get involved in trying to talk about something I didn't know much about, so I just sort of like bought a few and just kind of left it at that. I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot to try to just like make some reaction to it on the spot, but like the space was moving a little bit too quick for my taste. Like it was sort of being pumped by a lot of folks. People that worked at WADA apparently included in that. So that gives me some gross feelings, some icky feelings. It all seems kind of off in that documentary. While I think it did make some reaches on judgment and like making assumptions without fact. It did point out some stuff that's like, yeah, this is probably not a market I want to be super involved in where, you know, people that work at the company are involved in propping up the price and being involved in purchasing these games and stuff. It's a little bit iffy. We'll see how it shakes out, but I'm assuming this isn't the end of what we'll hear. What's your take?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a great command of the facts, so I'm just going to ask people if they care, if they want to know the reference material that we're talking about. It's this video here. It has 750,000 views on YouTube.
Wow.
Exposing fraud and deception in the retro video game market. That's the name of the video. And then Seth Abrahamson followed up with the piece. He's an attorney and an author with the New York Times, among other publications. If you just kind of search Seth Abrahamson and WADA video games or something, you'll get to it. And it's published under a brand called Proof. And so I don't have a great command of the facts. So it makes me uncomfortable talking about it because I don't have a great command of the facts. But I had reactions when I was watching it. And it ties into what Pwcc said when he sent in his thoughts. He said transparency in the hobby is very important. And it is. And like one of the things that the concerns that the video raises is that secretly there were people buying video games who had a conflict of interest at a high level, whether it was because, you know, they had equity in the company that graded the game, and they were involved in grading the game, or they were involved in the auction house, or so. I mean, a lot of allegations were made. I just want to abstract away from the specifics and get to the general as far as what we can learn in the hobby ourselves. And that is that it matters who buys these items. It matters. If the person setting a record price buying an item is an owner of the auction house, that doesn't make it an illegitimate sale if money changes hands and it goes from the buyer to the consignor, but it changes what that sale means. So transparency is good. It increases confidence in a market. Remember when we had that 840,000 MJ Fleer PSA 10 sale about a month ago? The buyer came forward. He knew that was an egregious price to pay for that card, given that, however, it was perhaps the nicest PSA 10 ever made, ever graded according to Pwcc. It had the top 5% sticker. The buyer sensed that people need to know that this is a legitimate purchase, and he came forward and he said, I am the buyer. And look, I have tens of millions in other cards. And that gave confidence to that transaction. And so transparency, you know, buyers coming forward and putting their name on a transaction, not all transactions because privacy matters, but a high profile transaction, when buyers are willing to come forward and claim it and put their credibility on it and put their name on it and their reputation on it, that transparency is good. And because now we have this shadow that people are buying items and they're not buying them for the purpose of, speculating on them as an investment or adding them to their collection. They're buying them because ostensibly they're trying to manipulate a market. So transparency and who's buying stuff is good. Okay, so that's my big takeaway. We should use this as an opportunity to increase our transparency and for buyers setting record prices to come forward and increase confidence in our market by claiming their throne as the buyer of these high profile items. That's my takeaway. So
Yep.
I don't know what else. I mean, and if there's other things to learn, don't be shady, disclose conflicts of interest, don't buy data tools and then shut them down. Don't do that. And, think about long-term ramifications and don't pervert and bastardize collectibles markets. Just don't do it. Let's just all play a clean game. All right. Any other thoughts on that one, bud?
Stop pumping the value of your stuff. Video games, cards, whatever. Just buy the thing. Tell us what you paid, and that's all you gotta do. I don't need to know what you think it's worth triple what you just paid. I need a beer, but yeah.
We'll get there. Is there a beverage on hand tonight?
I only have 2 left, so I gotta space them out.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's awesome. Okay. All right, let's go. Okay, so from here on out, we have tons of collector questions. Tons. All right.
Good.
So
Hell yeah. Maybe I do need that beer. I need the first beer. Is that what you're saying?
I think you can get the first beer. All right.
All right.
While Josh goes and gets the first beer, I want to add one comment to what he actually said there, which is that, it's always going to be dubious from the point of view of a collector who's trying to participate in a market if somebody who just bought a card is advocating that the price of that card is 3, 4, 8, 10x the value that they just paid. Now, I understand people believe they get steals. So maybe somebody buys a card privately for $3,000, but they believe the market value is $5,000. So, that's why they bought it. They thought they got it for a good price. That happens. All right. But when you start getting into like 3, 4, 8x, I bought a card for $30 and now it's worth $250 or something. Like at that time, it starts to get, it starts to raise eyebrows because what's going on here? Why is this happening? And collectors can feel crowded out and misled and whatnot. So, all right, but we'll have more stuff on that topic potentially here. I was very amazed, honestly, by how many questions came in that were of a very collector variety. I don't know what it was about this week. Maybe it was the Fanatics thing. And so actually we have two questions on the Fanatics topic that were of a collector variety that I wanted to bring in. The first one, this one comes from CZ_cards. Hypothetical question. Let's assume that Fanatics decides to only make 3 sets per year. Only 3. Fanatics is going to make 3 sets per year. High end, mid, and low end. And they also decide to buy up old brands to do it. What 3 products do you want to see fill these sets? 1 high end, 1 mid tier, 1 low end. And the person who wrote in the question says, here's what I would go with. Exquisite for high end, Chrome for mid tier, and Hoops for low end.
That's my answer. Damn it! Why'd you have to say that? I was literally gonna rattle off Exquisite, Tops, Chrome, and Hoops. The Hoops one is important because we need lower end. We need retail. We need kids. We need kids to have something to collect and buy. Tops Chrome is my favorite, like sort of shiny, and then you got your jersey memorabilia autograph one, which is exquisite.
No doubt. Christina, Kelvin wants to know, are you just nonstop hitting the hearts? Yes, she is, Kelvin. Okay, so Josh gives a great answer. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. High-end, exquisite, that's a no-brainer. Also, what timing for Carvin to appear in the chats? Architect.
It's like he heard the call.
his ears were ringing. And okay, so Exquisite is the high end. That's a no-brainer. For mid-tier, I'm going Prism. I've been sucked into the Prism world as a collector of modern. And then for the low end, I'm going with Metal Universe. Metal Universe was a low-end product when it came out. And I love Metal Universe as a sort of the low-end, artsy, risky, foiled out, low-end product, tough to grade, with the super difficult to hit. You got to go through cases and cases to get a green. Super difficult to hit, but it has that $1 million lottery ticket sitting inside.
No.
So those are my 3.
Prism is not the right answer. Top Scrum is better. You like cards where they're just standing around?
Love that. Maybe we could get Luca's Prism picture next year. It could be him hitting the hookah. That would be a truly non-action shot on par. What, the hearts are going crazy. That could be a truly
you know how Luca's Prism rookie and LeBron's Chrome rookie, they're kind of doing a similar-ish pose, right? You following me?
Yeah.
Luca's was probably in like a studio, some like fake setup half court where they're sitting there taking photos of them. LeBron's in an actual NBA game. You feel me?
Okay, well, what about this? What about this for an action shot?
What is that? What's going on here?
That's Luka Doncic. Luka was spotted smoking the hookah.
Look at him go. How's his? Is he looking overweight still?
I think that's just his look these days. I think we're just gonna have to change our barometer for what's overweight for Luka. I think he's just a man of size.
Maybe it's good for him to have that extra meat. He's a little bit more protected.
Oh, hookah. Oh, I saw a very funny. Yeah, maybe the meat does insulate. This is good.
Maybe the meat insulate. Is that an NFT of Luka?
It's just unfortunately it's not minted. This is just a good old GIF. Luka Doncic in the flesh. Okay.
Much does that one cost?
That's free, man. I just liked it on Twitter, and now I have it forever. So,
man, he's not even like a koala or like a. Can you make him? Can you mint that one?
I don't even know. Yamwax might be able to mint that.
He can mint anything. He minted a screenshot of us talking about NFTs.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Okay, so Josh and I disagree on the mid-tier product. Josh says action shots over non-action studio shots.
And your counter is that you prefer non-action shots.
My counter is Nebula 1 of 1, Black 1 of 1, Gold out of 10.
Vinyl out of 5, Green Pulsar out of 7, Purple Pulsar, Retail Only, Fast Break, Prism out of 9. You stopped. I feel like you stopped. There's so much more that you could have said.
Yeah, that's true.
The Black Prism. Don't forget my favorite, Black Prism.
Black Prism Black. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay. All right. So, what about on the low end? Don't you like Metal Universe to be the low end item?
Yeah. It's kind of a cheat code because you're like trying to get some more high end mixed in there.
Huge cheat code. Yes. Huge.
I mean, Hoops has like, high voltage 500 and BAMs and stuff. So like Hoops has some pretty nice high end parallels as well.
Great stuff came out of Hoops. But since the mid-tier product is already sort of the planar design, whether it's Chrome or Prism, then give me a foil-based set. We have not had one of those in a long, long time.
That's what I love about my favorite thing about 90s is it's like mostly base cards and like you fill out your sets and you focus on, but then they just have these incredibly rare, insane pack-odd cards of inserts and parallels like the slam bams and high voltage and red PMGs. It's like just like real chase cards without having 50 variations of that chase card. I think, man, I know that it's like really tough to replicate that in today's day because people are spending more money and they like need the hits or whatever, and it's like the breaking scene. It's just very different, and the way that it used to be wouldn't really work. But like the pure collecting, like the kid aspect of being able to buy a $5 pack and hit like a super rare card is it's very appealing to me.
Definitely. All right. This one comes from Slabs for Hayes. Assume that Fanatics decides to purchase either Topps or Panini. If that were to happen, would demand in the short term trend towards older cards of the acquired brand? And then what about the long term? So if the news hits, oh, Fanatics has acquired Panini, does that cause a run on Panini cards in the short term?
I mean, the simple answer is yes, but like we already have Panini, and there's just like so many Panini cards that like what are they gonna do? What's the run gonna be on? We don't even know. Like you're just gonna go start buying Panini cards. People are already doing that. I don't see how that could really change it that much. Am I crazy?
No.
We already have hype on Panini. They make cards today. So like
yeah, no. So like I guess people are thinking, I guess the thing that makes this theory work is that Panini is going to continue, so these brands are going to have a longer legacy. So, you know, the uncertainty surrounding the lifeline of these brands is reduced. But isn't there also something to be said that, to me, when it felt like Panini brands had a finality to them, and I knew that there's only going to be 12 years of Prism ever made, or this run of Prism will be 12 years and it's done, that made it more collectible to me.
yeah.
So I kind of went the other way with it. I'm not sure that the announcement that a brand will continue is going to cause a run. And I'm not sure that the discontinuation of a brand is going to cause a run either. I just think either way, there's a glass half full and a glass half empty approach, no matter which way it goes. I think it just kind of settles out, and we don't see a big spike either way.
Agreed. Maybe, I mean, even if like they buy Topps and there's like a rumor that Fanatics is gonna, make Topps Chrome and it's gonna take over Prism, I mean, there might be like a short term, like, hey, everyone run to get your Topps Chromes instead of your Prisms, but like you said, there's so many people. I'm thinking of the Lucky Show G. Like, there's so many people that have like put their stake in building amazing Panini sets that like there's always going to be demand for those. And like you said, if Panini stops making Prism and they stop making National Treasures, there's going to be demand for that kind of stuff because they're not printing anymore. It's a two-way thing here. It's like they're going to print more, so you're still excited that the tradition continues. They stop printing it, so the supply stops and the rarity starts to take over. So it's like they sort of balance out.
No doubt. Okay, moving on. From In Cardboard Veritas, he says Ken Golden on his live last night that he thinks sports cards are currently a $10 billion industry and could become a $25 billion industry in several years, perhaps even a $50 billion industry soon. What are your thoughts on that? Does it impact your current approach as a collector?
Ken has a lot of very intimate knowledge on these kinds of things. Like he would know probably better than anyone about figures like that. He sees, revenue that his company brings in. He probably generally knows what other auction houses do in revenue. He knows probably what Panini and grading companies do for revenue. So like, those numbers make sense to me. And I think we heard on that HBO doc, the FBI guy was talking about like how it's a $1 billion industry and there's fraud in the, tens of millions or whatever. So like these numbers definitely line up. We're hearing them from multiple sources. It makes sense. The question of like, do I think he's right on, the $25, $50 billion growth? I mean, I wouldn't be this involved if I didn't think the hobby had a lot of legs for a really long time in the future. I just, if I thought this thing was going to top shot in the next 5 years, if I thought it was going to flame out, I just wouldn't be involved at all because I'm really more of a long-term thinker, and I like to invest in things that have more staying power long-term, not just like invest in a financial point of view, but like invest my time and my resources and my fun, my happiness. So like, I've always thought, ever since I got into cards, I just felt like this feels like a really long-term thing. I think a lot of people should be taking a look at it, getting involved in it, remembering what they collected as a kid, doing whatever they can to understand it better because I think it's a great market and it's a lot of fun. So I'm never going to be like, no, we're never going to grow, like we're going to flatten out. I just feel like we're just going to keep growing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with a company of the scale of Fanatics entering the fray, this reminds me of discussions we had when the Collectors Holdings investment group came and acquired Collectors Universe. This reminds me again when Blackstone and its group of investors came in and acquired CGC for $500 million. And now, once again, when we're staring down the barrel of what was reported by, I think it was Schefter who reported that the NFLPA deal is 20 years, and you're talking a multi-billion-dollar deal, several multi-billion-dollar deals here. When Fanatics is going that far in, just like these other entities that had already come into the tune of billions of dollars this year, they're not coming in under the prospect that this industry is stagnant or that it's on a downward slope. They're coming in because presumably they think that there's many multiples of growth that can happen. And so from that point of view, Ken's estimates, as crazy as it might sound from today's point of view, Ken's estimates might be low, because I don't think Fanatics would enter this industry under the pretense that it's going to grow 2 to 3x. I think Fanatics enters this industry under the pretense that it's going to grow 5, 6, 10x or something like that. I wouldn't be the person to know. I'm just speculating. But from that point of view, Fanatics, Collectors Holdings, they're going to take actions to try to actively grow the industry, and they're going to allocate resources to it. Right now, they've signaled to us that they see the potential of this industry, but they haven't started. Well, PSA has started putting resources in, but Fanatics and they have not even begun injecting this industry with capital, with marketing, with resources to see how far they can take it. So.
Yeah, and these companies have like people dedicated to this stuff. Like I think isn't Fanatics worth like 18 billion or something like there? So like they definitely have market researchers, people dedicated full time to understanding what market they're investing into. Like they're not just tossing money around and hoping. There's a ton of faith in the sports card hobby long term, and I know everyone's reaction is like, well, the prices are going down right now. Is this a good decision? As we've pointed out, the prices on individual cards are going down. The overall investment and volume of sales is actually going up. So there's just like, as we've pointed out, there's just more depth to the hobby now. There's more niches, there's more sports, there's more different types of cards, and there's money being spread out in different avenues. So like, and one of the key indicators is like how much money is being invested into the infrastructure of sports cards is, it's insane in the last few years relative to what it was 5 years ago. These got just huge, massive deals happening every single week for some business buying another, or $1 billion investments here and there. And Nat being involved, I feel like is still a really important thing, because I think him being such a diehard collector, he's gonna always, like, PSA is just so important to this whole thing, and like having him at the helm and being such a diehard collector and understanding what collectors actually want long term. I think just that, plus like, we're hearing rumors of people involved in the Fanatic stuff that have collectors' best interest in mind. So like, there's just too much momentum in terms of, the collector mindset and doing things the right way long term that, I've been saying this for years, man, and I don't want to like pump the way I do things, because that's not what I'm about. But like, if you have something that you really believe in terms of like, a specific player or like a set or like a high-end card, I always say like, go after those really important key pieces that you feel are going to be, they're going to have the most staying power long term, and like, consolidate into those pieces, because this hobby is not going anywhere, and the stuff that's like sought after today is just going to be more sought after as things shake out, and like people are going to want the best stuff long term always. So if you have enough conviction in the hobby and you feel strongly enough about it and you believe in some player or set enough, get that stuff. Figure out how to like go get those cards, get those big cards. Stop worrying about, should I have 50 cards or should I just get this one? Do what you think is best and like go get that stuff. I've been saying it for so long, and I know that it's like that's what I do. So like I get that, you know, it may seem as though I'm just telling you to do what I do, which is not the case, but have conviction, get the stuff, because this hobby's here for the long term, I'm telling you.
Good. All right. Moving on to the next question there. This comes from My Slabs, the great My Slabs. My Slabs wants to know, what percentage of the hobby do you guys think truly know about 90s grails and their significance?
Probably a pretty decent percent. I don't know, 40.
Yeah, you know,
You're valued.
90s grails. There's some cool lists out there. Jordan guys always refer back to this list of like the top 50 Jordan cards that was made like 10 years ago or so. There's some good lists out there. There's awareness of 90s grails. But you know, don't worry about those. Let guys like me worry about 90s grails, and Josh, you guys focus on Panini stuff, and just don't you worry about 90s grails.
Can you see that sleeve, Chris? Can you see the film? See what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, when you tilt it, I can see the reflection around when it. Yep.
But it's like super clear, right? Like the whole slab just feels very clear to me.
No doubt.
Yeah, the 90s stuff, dude. I mean, it's just like the best looking era in my opinion. That's really not close, but you know, I don't want to shit on Panini too much. I like a lot of Panini stuff. I just feel like it's a little bit contrived and like overproduced in a lot of areas. And like the 90s stuff, if you like that kind of thing and you like just sort of the artistry and like the design of it, and you want to learn more about it, you know, pick some players you like from that era when you were a kid potentially, and just start researching it, because there's a lot. I was looking at like maybe I need some Jordan inserts, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot how many there are. I was going through my Penny Hardaway binder, and it's like, oh, it's a long road. If you want to get into the 90s stuff, it is a long road.
Yeah, you've got to learn a whole network of cards and brands. You got to really dig in and want to learn it, and you know, follow it. But I will say that if you take the entirety of relevant 90s brands across all the years for like one sport like basketball, it adds up to about the same number of brands that Panini puts out in 1 year for basketball. There was around 30 to 32 relevant brands in 90s basketball over the whole decade, and that's about how many brands Panini puts out each year. So it is doable. It is, if you can manage the product run of Panini for 1 year, you can handle the 90s as well.
I like that the 90s has this sort of allure to it. Like it is sort of like, because not everybody is into it because it's, you know, it's a little bit older now and it's a different era. I don't necessarily want everyone involved in it. Then it's going to become, it won't be as cool. You know, like it is kind of cool that not everyone's into it. So that's part of it.
Yep. Card Porn makes a great comment. You have to be careful about backdoor and fake 90s as well. A lot of them are already slabbed. Yes, you do. And I think it would go without saying, but if you're getting ready to enter into buying and acquiring Grail level cards from the 90s, first of all, check in with 90s Wax. He's a guy who volunteers his time to help this hobby.
And PSA.
And PSA. So what's one thing that's great about PSA is the guarantee. As long as you're acquiring a PSA slabbed card and you were not the original submitter of that card, you are fully protected according to the letter of PSA's guarantee. So PSA is the second safeguard, but the first safeguard is just do the research yourself. For any 90s Grail, you will be able to find blowout forum posts and other articles and whatnot discussing some of the telltale signs. But yeah, great point. Before you jump in, really learn this market and learn which cards are susceptible to counterfeits and which ones aren't. Some cards have sheet cut copies, some don't. The rabbit hole is deep.
I know a lot of what goes on at PSA behind the scenes. I can't divulge too much information because that's part of how it works. But like PSA knows a shit ton about 90s basketball and 90s cards, and they have people that it goes to specifically to look at that stuff when it comes to their doors. So like I feel very confident sending my stuff to PSA and buying PSA slab, especially newer slabs. PSA Slab 90 stuff because I know how seriously they take it. And like Nat collects 90s pretty extensively. And so like he takes it seriously as well. And the company just has a very great track record of understanding 90 stuff well. So last plug for them.
Good. Jordan Hagnorn sent the comments. He says, in a world where everyone in cards seems to be investing, can you guys talk about just buying cards you like that are within your means, such as collecting Christian McCaffrey? Yep, indeed. I mean, that's kind of what the mail days today were about, right? So.
Yeah, that's like our lifestyle, right, Chris? What he just said.
Yep.
Buying cards we like within our means. That's the hashtag grind.
Yep, and it doesn't always work out this way, but if you do buy cards that you like, there's a good chance other people out there like them too. And there's a good chance that there's probably a market and a community around them. I would never admit that, Kelvin. I actually had a discussion with Kelvin when the BGS 9 Black Trey Young sold for more than the PSA 10 Nebula, and significantly more, like $50,000 more. I said, I think this establishes BGS 9 as the ultimate grade. And if we really break that down, nobody wants a perfect card. People want a card that has some flaws, just like human beings. Nobody wants a perfect human being. Human beings should have some flaws. Cards should have some flaws. BGS 9 has asserted itself as the supreme grade. Your reaction, sir? All right, move. There you go. But there you go, Calvin.
Don't you like run some company that looks at data, stuff like this? Can you provide a little bit more like factual data than what you just said?
Nothing I just said has any basis in factuality or seriousness.
Oh, so you work for market movers?
Yes, yes. Okay, so yes, Calvin, I am the human personification of BGS 9.
That's hilarious.
I am a BGS 9. Okay. Thank
you're
you.
You're mint though. That's good. You're mint.
I'm just mint. I'm not trying to you're not bumping me up. I'm not 0.5 away, just a solid, maybe a quad 9.
No, I think you're 9 centering. You're just like a little bit. At least you're not a God. Can you imagine if you're an 8.5? What a disaster.
R.I.P. to all the 8.5s out there. Sorry, guys.
Peasants.
Right. Next question here. This comes from Award Winner Autos. Chris, you have recently discussed how much you care about local card shops. I would love to support my LCS, but I don't rip new wax, and the singles are usually 20% above eBay. Fair. I am really torn on how I can support my card shop without feeling like I am overpaying. Do you have any thoughts? Real quick, trade nights. Go to the shop to socialize. Or go to the shop and buy something that's not super expensive. Just buy something, man. If you pay 20% over comps, you pay 20% over comps. If you were paying 20% over comps 2 years ago, and then you look at the state of the market today, you did just fine. Card shops have to build in a premium because they have overhead, and margins can be real slim. So supporting the card shop sometimes does come with, yeah, you do pay a small premium, but you get it back in the experience, and you get it back through network, and you get it back through meeting good people. And you know what else? The local card shop was so important foundationally to me that like if the local card shops didn't exist, I might have never gotten back into the hobby. It was a really important bridge to bring me back in. So what do you say, Josh? Because I know you don't frequent LCSs regularly. Do you have anything to say? By the same token, it's okay to not go to LCSs too. You don't have to go to the LCS. You can be a great hobbyist without ever stepping foot in one.
Some of my closest friends in the hobby own LCS shops, so I obviously like support LCS. It's important to the hobby. Trade night's a good idea. I think that's probably where I'd get started is trade night, like getting in there and meeting other people, because the sort of just going in there just to buy wax, you're not really quite getting into the full experience. I think the trade night is a good call.
No doubt. Christina, do you want to chime in anything on how to enjoy your LCS?
Make friends with the owners. They'll take care of you.
Make friends with the owners. There you go. Christina
There you
knows
go.
something about that. Okay. This question comes in from Riley Peranto. Riley says, please discuss this topic, which is currently trending on Reddit. What is a sure sign that someone is new to your hobby? What is a sure sign that someone is new to your hobby?
I have a really funny one. They'll be like, guys, can you help me find this card? It's my absolute grail. I really need help finding it. Where do I go? And it's like Luca Silver Prism or like an 86 Fleer, and you're like, go to eBay, and literally you'll find 100,000 of them like immediately. It's not your grail. You don't need my help. Go buy one.
Very good. Very good. Here's my sure sign that someone is new to our hobby. They think that what the cards are listed for sale at on eBay is what they're worth.
I hate that one. I fucking hate that. I hate it so much. Because they'll be like, the market is like 10, the market value is like 10,000. They'll be like, guys, best available one on the internet is 50K. That's what it's worth. I'm asking 40. And it's like, oh my God.
Yep.
I have one.
Okay.
People are new to the hobby when they say the card is worth 20x what they paid for it 2 months ago.
There you go.
I have more. Let's keep going. This is fun. The chat, jump in. You know, it's like a, you know, you're a redneck when kind of thing. You know, you're new to the hobby when you ask like everyone you could find about whether or not you should grade a card.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we have a winner.
Bullseye, Jordan.
What I missed what Jordan said. One, this fucking chat thing. Post it again.
All right, I'm gonna post it, then I'm gonna take it right now.
All right, just give me 2 seconds. Read it. Post it.
I pinned it. I put it right there.
There you go. Or you just watch his content in general and think that's like where you learn.
What else, Sue? Okay, so what was this one about grading?
Oh, I just said like, you know, you're always like, guys, should I get this graded? I feel like I'm nervous to send it in to shipping, that it's going to get lost, that I don't know if it's going to get a 9 or a 10. What do you guys think?
No doubts. No doubt. We've got a theme here, perhaps inspired by Christina. No, it's not that card porn. It's just I want to protect who says what. All right. Cooper, well done. Jordan, well done. Oh, boy. I guess that question answers itself.
I think it's some other funny ones that's not just like us shitting on people.
You're new to the hobby if you open a grading company that uses forensic microscopes. Pardcorn. New to the hobby if you ask if the slab comes with the card. There you go. Oh, you're new to the hobby when you keep telling people no one wants to play with Luca. That's a shot fired directly at a guy in the hobby. We do, Jordan. Oh, Cooper laying it down there. You're new to the hobby if you think video games are the next big thing. All right. Moving on. Next question here. Long one from Dormant Stash. Last night on Golden's live stream, Nat Turner stated that the regular service levels will be opened back up at PSA by the end of the year, even suggesting it may be possible sometime next month. This indicates that the backlog has come down. Do you think we will see a huge flood of submissions into PSA once it opens back up, or is there enough competition right now that things will remain the same, meaning PSA won't see much more business in the future? Oh, I see we got a few more. I can't read any of these, man.
They're so good. They're so good.
Oh, these are great.
Yeah, the one that Jordan said was like, you new to the hobby if like you're like, I have these cards from when I was a kid. Are these worth a lot? It's like 1980s crap.
No doubt. No doubt. All right.
What's the question? Grading levels opened up again?
Yes. Okay, so grade levels, yeah, yep.
I guess I'm the only weirdo that's like, I'm pretty happy with the current structure. I don't want to add more. But I don't know, man. Whatever PSA says, I'm not really going to speculate on that too much. I was more interested in the new location news.
Yeah, the new location news is a big deal. Also, I just want to set something straight here. Nad said that the regular service level would be returning. Regular is not bulk and it's not economy. Regular is the level in between where we are now in bulk and economy. So regular is still like, I think, $100 a card. So just pointing that out. I feel bad for anybody who's watching the playback. You guys are missing one of the greatest segments.
This is why you gotta stay up till 3 a.m. is to watch it live, because the chat is just on fire. You guys are just like keeping me. I don't even know what you're saying, Chris. You're just like a talking BGS9. By the way, I'm a PSA 8.
Dude, a PSA 8 these days is a PSA 10 of 2 years ago. So
I'm a PSA 8. You know, a little rough around the edges. I've been beat up a little bit, but damn if I don't look good in a nice, clean, clear slab.
You're a 6 series PSA 8. You know, serial number starts with a 6.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm not that new though.
I like this from JGP Sports Cards. You're new to the hobby if you beg your friend to buy a card only to boast about how much money you made off of him afterwards. Fair. We don't like that. We don't like to brag about making money off of each other. Not too much. Maybe a little bit. If it's our friend.
You know what I like more? Helping my friends make money on deals that I pass over to them.
Boom. How about that? Oh, come on, David. Some of these shots are too direct. Can't you guys generalize these shots a little bit so that it could be about anybody? New to the hobby if you ask where to buy screw downs. Yes. Yes. Good, Joe.
You're new to the hobby if you think every gold kaboom is worth 20 grand.
That means you're new. Okay. You are new to the hobby if PSA 10 is player for you. You're new to the hobby if you call Christina Chris's girl. Ooh. That's good.
That's shots fired at certain someone.
Okay, card porn. Card porn says you're new to the hobby if you wear deodorant at a card show. Really? Wow.
Hey.
Okay. Vets don't need the deodorants, I guess.
Man, I definitely need deodorant.
David says he's sorry, Christina. Christina is not in any shadows. Christina co-hosted a huge sports podcast this week, so Christina is all the way out there.
He wasn't trying to put me in your shadow. He was just trying to be disrespectful.
No. If anybody who knows you would know not to step on those.
You're new to the hobby if you didn't realize RPAs weren't game worn.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, that one's good. You're new to the hobby if you think Prism Draft is good like investment.
There we go. That's excellent. That's good. That's firing on all cylinders. You're new to the hobby.
That's the one that every year, man, they'll be like, guys, this is the year Prism Draft finally takes off. I'm like, oh my god, no, it's not. That's the one thing I know. It's like the laws of physics that Prism Draft comes out expensive and then tanks.
I know, dude. And look, it like you said, every year without fail, a content creator or a collector will dive into new product, and they don't know any better. And this is the year that draft products are going to make the difference, and they might even trade huge Grail cards for a draft version of a Zion or something, and it will not play out well. Okay. You're new to the hobby if you ask where the wax is at. You are new to the hobby if you buy a case of Prism. Oh, we already did that one.
How about Cooper's?
All right, hold on. I'm getting to it. Hold on. There's plenty of good ones I have to just fire. All right, you're new to the hobby if your avatar is a crypto punk. No offense to our crypto guys. You're new to the hobby if you don't shill on your own eBay post. that is jaded, sir. Irony is pulling a kaboom after hating them. Yeah, that did happen to Christina. You're new to the hobby if you think Christina won't smack a motherfucker with the quickness. You're new to the hobby if your favorite saying is "Let's go." You're new to the hobby if you buy into breaks as an investment angle. You're new to the hobby if you don't chill bit. Okay. All right, here's Cooper's. You're new to the hobby if you didn't know there was a difference between a sticker and on card. Yeah, that's good. New to the hobby if you subscribe to Beck at the magazine. Ooh. Max says, I'm a couple Trulies into my night and I have no idea how Josh does the crossover.
I like the retail angle. You're new to the hobby if you think collecting cards is waiting in line at Target getting retail. I know that's not a thing anymore, but that was funny to me. It's like, oh, this is how you collect cards, guys.
You're new to the hobby if you think Select is better than Prism.
Man, these shots are getting very personal.
You're new to the hobby if you don't know what a top loader is. You're new to the hobby if you think spending money in breaks will make you rich. You're new to the hobby if your mail day included Drew Lock. You're new to the hobby if you buy draft picks thinking it's Prism. Right on. You're new to the hobby if you have mag stickers for your top loaders. You're new to the hobby if you don't know the middle finger graph. Good. Very good, Cards and Chris. You're new to the hobby
if you think Prism Soccer is a good investment.
That was literally true for many newcomers. You're new to the hobby if you say, I just want to open some packs of cards for retail price. Is that too much to ask? You're new to the hobby if you think Panini rules. Ooh. Dude, let's go.
I got one.
So
I got one.
All right, let's go.
You know how people on Facebook, they'll always they'll get a big card in a break or they'll pull a card and they'll be like, not for sale for now. AKA, I got to get it graded and then I'm waiting for someone to make me a big offer.
You're new to the hobby if you still use screw downs, no doubts. Those can really hurt your cards. You're new to the hobby if you ask, what's the difference between base and silver? True. Although if you're talking 2017 Prism football, you could get very confused.
Oh, data nerd.
George, you're new to the hobby if you say, let's rip some fire. You're new to the hobby if you pull a LeBron base card and you think you can retire. You're new to the hobby if you think showing the basket with blasters and megas at Targets. Okay. You're new to the hobby if you don't know who Vegas Dave is. Wow, I want to be new to the hobby then. Okay, you're new to the hobby if you think Vegas Dave is an influencer. There we go. You're new to the hobby if you only buy a certain investor's top 5 cards of the week. Wow. Okay, these just suddenly like flooded. Oh, you're new to the hobby if your main source of hobby news is clubhouse rooms. What? Oh no, George, say it ain't so, George. Oh man, I can't even keep up with these, man.
All right, let's move on topics now. You said you had a bunch of collector questions.
Good. That was great, though. Way to come through, guys.
That was fun.
You're new to the hobby if you're not watching crossover live.
There you go.
Okay, we'll end on that one. All right.
So good.
Cardinal Sports Card says, Josh and Chris, what's the one card you pursued but did not acquire or win that you regret not pursuing further?
2012 Prism Gold LeBron. I had a couple shots at it. I just never took it serious enough. I just thought like, oh, whatever. There's other years of Prism. I never went after it hard enough, and then it's obviously over now. So
that's a great one. I don't have one that good. I am trying to find a picture really quick of the one that I want to talk about.
Is it like a Luka fast break green pulsar?
How'd you know? This is the one I want to talk about. So this was an auction with Golden a few months ago, and I was talking to Josh and Dio, Riverfront Collectibles, And he mentioned that this card is one of the rarest by pack odds Michael Jordan cards that exists. And it just made me think about this because I was the second highest bidder on this card. This is the winner, BK_MJ Cards 26, and it went to a great home. But yeah, I missed out on that card. Oops, I missed out on that card, and in retrospect, the price was good. I should have kept bidding. But congrats, Paul.
You know you're new to the hobby when you don't have a story about missing out on a big auction.
No doubt.
It was all. What was the grade on that card?
It was made for me, man. It was made for me. It was a BGS 9 with 10 centering. So
I feel like you're a quad 9. I feel like you're a quad 9.
That's what I said. I'm quad 9s. I'm just all 9s.
Ah, yeah. Okay, I follow you now. I missed on that one. My bad.
Quad 9s. No gems, but never not mint.
Yeah, you're just very straight, just right across the middle. Just you know what you are. You're a damn fucking 9.
I know, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not worried about it. Just a noble 9.
No fluff with the 9.5s and the 8.5, and you have to like look up the Beckett rules. No, you know you're a 9. It's like there's nobody in the world that needs to look up what a quad 9 would be. Well, this probably is a 9, right? Yeah.
Unquestionably mint.
I have 2 cards that are quad 9s, which is I feel like it's a pretty rare to have a quad 9. You don't see a lot of those.
True. That's a totally good point. The new to the hobby ones keep coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep reading them. You just keep the questions coming, and we're gonna multitask the rest of this.
Well, all right. If you see a great one, interrupt and throw it in there. All right. This question comes from Corner Taken quickly. Please choose one of the following 2 options, Josh. Choose one of these 2. Supposing that you could own multiple copies of a popular rare card, is it fair? Because all is fair in love and auctions. So is it totally fair to own multiple copies of a super rare card? Or should owning multiple copies of popular rare cards, should it be totally avoided? Because other people should have a chance to experience the enjoyment of owning that grail as well.
I know there's a lot of people that I like that have duplicates of stuff. I personally hate it. It really bothers me. I don't know why. I can't tell people not to do it because everyone has a right to do what they want. But if I was a dictator and this was my world of cards, I would force those people to trade or do something with it. It just really bothers me. One of the things I love about cards is the fact that this is why I don't like one-on-ones. So cover your ears, Chris. I know you like one-on-ones. I don't like owning cards that no one else can have. It's just weird to me. I like owning cards that that someone else could potentially go get. You know, like we could share in that. Either we both have it or like I have it and you don't kind of scenario. And so like the duplicate thing is annoying to me. It just always has been. It's just my personal opinion. I don't like it. I wish that I like everyone having all the cards they want. And if someone has 2, that means someone else is being deprived of owning that card. And what are you going to do? How much, you already have it. Why do you need 2?
No doubt. Okay. All right. I didn't realize you had such a strong take on that, but I'm so glad you did. That makes that question so much more interesting. I think it is in the interest of the hobby to let copies circulate. Like, you'll get a much better and a fairer understanding of the real market demand for a card. Like, there's that classic picture of the guy who had acquired 40 Mahomes NTRPAs. 40. There's only 99. You know, there's 99. So cool. I like that take. All right. So I had to move up a question because of what you said. So this question comes from Sports Cards 1532. If Josh and Chris had to design a single card together,
Oof.
What would you create? What player or players would appear on the card? Would it be numbered? Would it be a 1-of-1? Would it have an autograph?
You do not want me designing anything. Trust me. Did you see what Chris drew last week for an NFT? Fucking, you want a stick figure character?
I used to make believe cards, and unfortunately, they were stick figures. I never went past the stick figure level of artistic skill.
Can we make a quad? No autographs. I'm gonna not do autographs because I know you don't want that. We'll do a quad of LeBron, Penny, Jordan, and Luka.
Wow.
No autos. It's going to be a parallel. It's going to be numbered to 50. And it's going to be like shiny or gold or some shit. That's all I got.
No autos?
No, because there's 4 dudes in the card. How much room do you have for all the autographs? And I know you don't like that, so it's a team effort.
Okay. Wow, that's a card that I can confidently say would never exist. And so for that reason, I think it's fantastic. And okay, no autographs, shiny, numbered to 50. But
This is why I don't.
Can we put autographs on that card? I kind of want autographs on that card.
What the fuck?
I would prefer autographs on that card.
I went out on a limb to do something nice for you as my friend, and now you want autographs?
I'm returning the favor. Plus, to get those 4 guys to sign the same card, that's a feat.
Is the goal of this to like make money and get a lot of people hyped about it, or is it just the goal that you and I like it?
Well, I mean, I think it's that if we like it, if we don't like it, look, for quads, like a card featuring multiple players that doesn't have autographs on it doesn't appeal to me. I think if it's going to be a multiplayer card, let's get some autos going.
Someone would look at that card and be like, "Why the fuck is Penny Hardaway on this thing?"
I like it. I think that's cool, and I think you put Jordan and Penny on one side. And then you put LeBron and Luke on the other side, and then you put Penny like in his 3rd or his 4th year. A picture of Penny in his 3rd or his 4th year, a picture of Luke in his 3rd or his 4th year. And then Jordan and LeBron at the level that they were at when those guys were coming up. I think that would be cool.
Should Luka be in an in-game photo, or would you like him in a studio?
I would prefer him hitting the hookah. I want him hitting the hookah bong.
The hookah Luka.
That's what I want.
The hookah parallel. That's coming, dude. Now, like the zebras and the snake skins and all that garbage. Like, here comes the hookah parallel. It's going to be the smoke parallel.
The hookah parallel. All right. Jordan Hagedorn asks, to Christina's PC, Chris, and Josh each, on a scale of 1 to 10, how healthy is the hobby at the moment?
Second inning.
Okay.
No, that was a joke answer. It's not even a fucking answer.
Second inning.
I'll say 6. I don't like how much investing, shitty content, and like gambling there is.
Okay. Christina, scale of 1 to 10, how healthy is the hobby right now?
What did Josh say?
6.
I'm gonna say like a good. We're at like a 7. We have room for improvement, but like I'm a fan of where we are, but we need to weed out some bad characters a little better, and and not be so forgiving when people steal data and shit. Just saying.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
That's a rookie score.
You're new to the hobby if you think the health of the hobby is a 10 always, every day, forever.
Mine was a rookie score too.
Trojan horse in your code.
You can't give even numbers. That was a rookie score. We need to get better. I'm going to say 6.7, 6.4.
That's very accurate. Health means different things to different people. What's healthy to one person might not be healthy to another. So I'm going to have to just answer this from what I think is healthy. And there is some real health issues in the hobby right now. Some real health issues. Whether it was, the separation of Pwcc from eBay, that's a health issue. Right now, we're sort of like waiting for a diagnosis on what the Fanatics deal means and how we're going to manage the next few years while we wait for it to come. There's just some stuff that's getting sorted out right now. So I think we have the potential to be very healthy, but we have to pass our physical first. I'm going to give us 6.23.
There you go. Hey, there you go. There you go. That's my man. Yeah, we're about in the same range. 6.4, something like that.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. All right.
What a 10 look like?
Oh, that's a good question. What would a 10 look like?
Everyone collects exactly what I collect. No, I think it's probably like more stability, like you said, less of this like friction between people and more cohesion on, like the long-term sustainability of the hobby.
That'd be nice. You know what would bump up the health of the hobby immediately, to me, would be increased transparency across the board. So if somebody's offering a free product, and we have several people now in our industry offering a free product, they would say that this product is free because we're mining your data. And then people can make an honest decision about whether they want to use a free product that's invading their privacy and can lead to fraud, can lead to theft of identification, theft of personal data. And those problems can come to the fore at any time for the rest of your life once you've given over access to private data to people. You might not even be realizing you're doing it. That's one area where we need more transparency. We need more transparency across the board. We just need more of it. So for us to get to a health level above 7, we need more transparency. To get to a health level of 10, why can't we see what best offer was accepted on our marketplaces? Why can't we see that? MySlab shows that. Why does eBay, why does it have to be hidden? Why do we only get to see 90 days? To me, there's just so many steps to take before I can really feel like this market and this industry is truly healthy.
You know what else we need? No more of this top 5 shit. We need top 10. Like, give me some more. Give me some more meat, for God's sakes. 5? That's not even enough to, like, do anything with. I need 10 at least.
No doubt. Oh, and speaking of the health of the hobby, one of the issues that a spotlight, and Coop's comment reminded me of this. One of the things that got a spotlight put on it last week was like, dude, there is shill bidding going on in the hobby. It does happen. So that's annoying. That should not. No shill bidding. I will say our hobby is 10 healthy when we have no shill bidding. How about that?
So we're never going to get a 10. That's obvious.
Never going to get a 10 indeed.
Is this like how like people like rate economies of different countries around the world, and is that what we're talking about here? You're like rating the
economic score indexes and stuff. Yeah.
It's always like Singapore's number 1 or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We need to be. How do we get to be Singapore of the hobby?
A good collector friend of mine is in fact from Singapore, so he'll be pleased if he listens to this.
He's probably got a killer collection because their economy's so good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a really good question that I would hate. I don't even like that I tried to answer it on the spot, because I would really want to think hard about what does it take to get this hobby to its optimal level. No more questioned autographs. Here's when the hobby is at 10, every player who's signing material is recorded doing so, and then it's databased somewhere. Here's how we know the hobby's at 10. Patches aren't getting swapped out, and there are databases of every patch made, and they live somewhere on the internet, and it can be looked at. Now, I know somebody's going to come back to me and say this stuff is unrealistic, and I know it is. But the question is, when is the hobby at 10 health? When things like that are happening. When grading is truly consistent, and that you can't get an 8 one day, crack it out, and then it's a 9 the next day. That's when the hobby will be at 10 health. Bear?
Yep.
The hobby will be at 10 health when a Kobe Gold Kaboom is worth $10 million. Then we will know that the hobby is fully healthy.
Well, I'm glad that you decide what a 10 looks like, Chris. Jeez. All right, next question.
Next question. This comes from Drake's PC. What qualities of a card make it collectible and a good store of value? For me, serial numbering comes to mind, but a gold refractor out of 50 in many cases is more collectible and a better store of value than a red refractor out of 25, even though the red is rarer.
Yeah, it's a combination of rarity and iconicism. Is that a word? How iconic the card is plus rarity are the two for me.
No doubt. Carvin says the aesthetics of the card. Totally agree with that. That's what stands the test of time. That's what stands. It's hard sometimes, like in the first year or two of a product, to really know, does this look good or not? You know, you have an idea, but sometimes time needs to take place before you realize whether a card is just another piece in the pile or there's something special about it. So aesthetics,
like Kaboom.
For sure.
Like Kaboom is just now getting its respect for how good looking it is after all these years.
That's exactly right. Took years. The first year of Kaboom was 2013. Took a long time, and now people are enamored with it. And yeah, Josh has always said this. I've always agreed. It's a great way to break it down. You have to mix it to iconic and rare, and then mix in aesthetic appearance, and then you've got that. Those are the factors you want to max out on all of them if you can. So, Offlick says the hobby is a 9.5 when you own $1 million LeBron RPA and still drive a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm very proud of that combination, if you can't tell.
All right, J Spot Hawaii says, this is a weird question, but shout out to my guy, Jay in Hawaii. What catches your eye on a sports card Instagram profile besides the card?
Besides the card?
Yes. What are some other things that appear on sports card profiles? Logo.
Memes?
Memes.
I'm really struggling here because all of mine are like, what kind of cards do they have?
Caption?
Mm-mm.
No.
I can't read. It's usually like, are the cards shiny or dull? If they're shiny, I usually keep going. I'm very simple-minded.
Okay. How do you feel about a sports card profile that blends non-sports card content with card content?
Like what kind? Like NFTs or like what do you mean?
NFTs or just anecdotes and stories from one's personal life or one's professional life, or
I feel like sports is okay. Like I'm okay with like sports takes and like mixing in some of the sports stuff because that's really what it's about. And some of the other stuff, you know, mix it in every once in a while, but too much and I'm gonna unfollow you.
Fair. I don't know.
You can tell a lot about how much someone is into the hobby by just scrolling through this is like the most obvious statement of all time, but like I'll be looking through someone's account and it's like, damn, this guy or girl really knows cards, because it's like not many people know that these cards exist and like have these all lined up and one after the other, and then I'll see something that's like pretty common and then another rare one. Those are the accounts that I love, because it's like, man, you're really into the hobby when you've got all this different kind of stuff.
Right on. All right, Drake's PC has another question. What factors other than a middle finger graph do you consider when determining if the price of a card exceeds its value, meaning you should not buy it or it's time to possibly sell? So, like, I guess other than the fact that the card has gone up rapidly in a short period of time and it's looking like it's forming a middle finger, how else, what are some, like maybe one thing is like if certain people are buying the card, that's maybe a good factor that it's at or near the top.
I would say also like looking at the pop reports. If the pop reports are like climbing pretty quick and the price is still steadily going up, and it doesn't necessarily have to look like a middle finger, but if the pop is going up and the price is still going up, that's usually I'm sorry, that's something you can look for. Like we talked about that with some of the like the Zion PSA 10, like the pop was just going up so freaking fast, and the price just couldn't keep up. It was just impossible. It just like couldn't possibly uphold the price with the population like doubling basically.
Another factor would be, how are people talking about this card? Are people talking about it as an item that they want to collect and it's part of their collection and, you know, it means a lot to them to own it? Or are people talking about the card as though, hey, this is a great investment, you know, this is going to be worth 2x in a few months, and I have 3 or 4 copies of this card, and
I just paid the all-time high.
You know, look, I would look at some of those factors. None of them on their own are dispositive, but weigh the balance of them.
Or here's another one. Oh, you're gonna love this one because it goes back to my close friend and genius, James Beckett. If you see a lot of people trying to sell it.
No doubt. No doubt. That was one thing that Beckett said they used to take into consideration in their price guides, was not only what is stuff selling for, but what stuff is not selling at the market price. Because you could price a card very high, and if nobody's buying it, you know, no comp is being recorded, but clearly there's something off with the market for that card. So that's a great one. All right.
Like everyone tried to sell Fleer Jordans all at once when the price went up because it's like, okay, it's too high. It's not a middle finger, but.
All right. Here's the question of the hour from Cards and Candy 911. Cards and Candy.
Finally. Jeez, I was worried about him.
What insert/parallel will be known as the best during Panini's years? And you cannot say Kaboom, Color Blast, or Gold.
I like that last part.
Net Marvels.
Let's see.
Christina says Net Marvels. She can see you.
Oh. Yeah, great answer.
Christina's sending hatred hearts to the chat now. No more happy hearts.
I'm really stuck.
Chat says stained glass downtown.
No, that's not correct. I don't know, man.
Galactic, Pacific Marquee.
I want to say Galactic because that's my favorite, but I don't think so. It hasn't really stuck. You got anything?
Yeah, my answer to this question is always Nebula.
There's not enough of those goddamn dude. They're one of ones. Why do you guys keep saying that? You can't have popularity on something that's one.
Like every year, there's like 10 or so right now. You have like a Spectra Nebula. Like in football last year, there was 2. You have the Prism Nebula, you have the Optic Nebula.
Nope,
some other nebula.
not enough. There's not enough.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's a totally fair point.
Dude, how do you feel about 98, 99? Dude, what are those called?
The Ultra 1 of 1 purple?
No, not those ones. Shoot, the Gem Masters.
Oh,
are those like?
Those are like freaking mythical unicorns. Like,
yeah, exactly, mythical. Like you can't. Nobody's gonna be writing articles about how like, oh, that was the one that defined the generation. There's just too rare. There's not enough of them. I get what you're saying, and like Nebula's cool, but a freaking black BGS 9 outsold the PSA 10. Like they're just not quite.
That's that power that BGS. a Nebula and a BGS 9 will define this era. I get your point, but I just feel like I feel like Gem Masters, there's only 1 or maybe 2 years that had it. Nebula, by the time it's done, there will be 80 to 100 of them for any given player. Any given player, by the time Panini's era is done, will have 80 to 100 Nebula parallel. Nebula 1 of 1 or 1 of 2 parallel. Nebula 1 of 1 or out of 2 parallels. And I think 80 to 100 is a good number. That's how many PMG Reds there are, roughly. So, I don't know. I think Nebula is pretty sweet. And not just the Prism Nebula or not just the Optic Nebula, but there's Nebulas from increasing number of products.
I like noir metal frames.
No, sneaker spotlights, Mosaic Genesis, Mosaic stained glass. A lot of votes for stained glass. Downtown, again. Panini sells 5 year rubies. Is there a rubies from this era that I'm not aware of? There might be.
I mean, no, he said I can't say gold prism, but it's gonna be gold prism. So
yeah, could be. Could be. The only thing about those is that there's going to be too many. I think for a lot of players, there's going to be hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of them. I think look how many the PMGs and the rubies. There's 50 to 100 of those, and I don't maybe you say those don't define the 90s. So if you say that, then I get it. But each player is going to have 50 to 100 nebulas. Seems like the right number to define an era, especially in an era of abundance when there's just so much of everything.
you know how I know you're pure in your answer?
How?
Because you don't have a nebula.
That's right, I do not. And people have been hoarding them, which is also annoying. But I'm just calling it how I see it. I do have a few gold vinyls, but I do not have any nebulas. Level 4 Cord Kings. Everybody loves pooping Luca.
I'm unimpressed because none of these answers like feel like the right answer to me. Maybe there just isn't one.
Calvin, I'm trying to find a screenshot of that Luca. I hope there's one on eBay. We're just ripping on Luca during this show. Damn, they don't have any on here. Oh, they do. All right, here, you want to talk about an action shot?
Oh, what the fuck is that? What is that?
This is a very rare card. This is the Cord Kings level 4 Luca. Look at that. Okay, all right. So what is your? I mean, I'm firm. I'm Nebula's my answer. What is yours? Do you have one?
No, I don't like any of these. Pass.
Maybe there won't be a singular card to define the era. How about that? Maybe that could happen. All right.
Yeah, it looks like Luca's farting. That's exactly what it looks like.
It's
Maybe that's a color blast card.
that was the photo taken before they took the color blast photo. There you go. After a bad hookah rip.
He's like, ugh.
All right. Next question here. From cards to the max. Oh, back to, okay. This is not a collector question. Do positional NFL players have any long-term sustainability in the hobby as an investment?
What was that last part?
Do positional NFL players have any long-term sustainability in the hobby as an investment?
As an investment? I mean, yes, they'll never be quarterbacks and they won't ever be basketball, but like they have their own value, in a vacuum for sure. It's just that's the matter of like, what are you looking to do with that investment, I mean, it's not the best investment you can make, it's more like fun and it's a little bit cheaper to get into. I feel like it's more of a connection to the players than it is like, trying to make money on it. Because if you're just like wanting to make money, you just go buy the quarterback and you buy the Josh Allens and the Herberts and stuff. But if you want to like really be connected to your team, you get a little bit deeper and you start getting into the positional players. So it's more of like a hobby fandom connection than it is an investment.
Agreed. WTF Frankie podcast says, talk about ComC becoming the top consignment seller in sports cards and cards in general on eBay. They are now ranked 6th overall behind booksellers only. So
behind what?
Behind booksellers.
Booksellers.
Oh, you're new to the hobby if you only own fractions of cards.
That's a good one.
Well done, sir. Now, there's anything wrong with them owning fractions of cards. No, there's anything wrong.
Oh, it's the fact that it's only fractions of cards.
Exactly.
Right. Good for ComC. Good job.
Yeah, I agree with that. Congrats, ComC. And I understand ComC's logistics, their shipping and handling time has greatly improved.
Good.
That is excellent.
That's a staple company in the hobby, a great company. They've been around for a really long time, and they provide a very much needed service to the hobby.
The hobby would indisputably be worse off if we did not have ComSig. Gem Mint NZ wants to know, is the Fanatics deal going to evolve the NFT/digital sports card space?
God, I hope not. I hope it crushes it.
Yeah, but I do think we should mentally prepare and build in some percentage probability that Fanatics is going to do some level. I mean, Panini and Topps are already doing it, but that Fanatics is going to do some level of noticeable, visible, marketed digital cards /NFT cards. I think that's probably going to happen, so we should start preparing
Yeah.
right now.
It's much more profitable for them to not have to physically create anything, and they just design something, whip up a freaking. I mean, yeah, Wax made one without any resources. Probably he just like made one super quick, and you can sell them. It's like literally printing money.
Exactly. But I can tell you this: Fanatics will get Fanatics will fumble the ball and lose a lot of money if they make what I think would be a drastic miscalculation and put more than a nominal amount of resources and effort and energy into digital collectibles. So, especially if it comes at the expense in any way, shape, or form of the physical collectible world. So, I've already gone on that rant, which is so premature, but for a million reasons, digital sports cards will never be able to replicate or take and siphon away what it is that we love about sports cards for a million reasons. Okay, Grail Card Quest. How do you feel about the 17-game NFL season and its impact on statistics? Many single-season records will be broken, but won't mean much. Career records become muddy in this new format.
I hate it so much.
Same.
I really like. First of all, I hate it for so many reasons. 16 is a beautiful number. It can be divided by 2, 8, 4. You can there's 32 teams. You divide that by 2, 16. The records, the statistics, the career records. It's such a beautiful number. The greed of these motherfuckers to add one more game to ruin all of that, it's so annoying. I hate it. Like, my OCD is not okay with it at all. I hate it.
Once again, we choose the purity of the 16-game season. 16 is a number, often associated with tournaments. You have a bracket of 16. You have the Sweet 16. It not only is it neatly divisible, but it neatly multiplies out to 32, 64. It's a number that just...
And even just like dividing by 2, there's gonna be more road games and home games and shit. It's like, it's so annoying. I hate it.
Agreed. Some fair points being made. NFL stats are already going out of whack with rule changes and passing increasing, and fair point. But yeah, we love to compare eras. We love to compare athletes. We love to have an equal measuring stick, and we won't have it. So,
Yep.
Winston will throw 50 pins.
I mean, it's only like one extra. I mean, it's not like the stats are going to double, It's not like one out of. It's going to go up
That
like,
17th game, Winston's going to throw 20 interceptions.
What's the percentage? What's the actual percentage of statistics? Like, I'm not going to be able to do this math, but it's like 6%, something like that. It's not like stuff's going to go up 30%.
Right. All right, Cards and Candy 911. Can we get your pre-NBA awards? MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man, and Most Improved.
Rookie of the Year. I can only name one rookie, so I'll say Cade Cunningham wins Rookie of the Year.
You'll probably be right as well.
Bold strategy. MVP, let's see. MVP.
I can give my Rookie of the Year prediction here. Oh, here we go. All right, this guy. Have you heard of Jonathan Kuminga?
No.
Okay, well, he has a great nickname.
Thanks.
He's on the Warriors. He's known as the Coom Bucket because he's a walking bucket. His name's Jonathan Kuminga. And so I think with a nickname like that, following in the footsteps of Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, he's going to put up a lot of points and probably win Rookie of the Year just based on the strength of his nickname.
Why would you name someone that? That is awful.
Really bad. All right, I'm going to say total homer pick, so just prepare. I'm going to say LeBron for MVP. They're going to give it to him because this is probably going to be his last shot to ever get it, and it'll be like a, sentimental award. I'm between him and Luka, to be honest, to get the MVP, so I'll just say LeBron.
I'll take either. What about most improved?
Most improved? I mean, geez,
There's
that's
been
so
some
tough.
interesting ones, like when Brandon Ingram won it, not last year, but the year before. That was an interesting. He took a star turn when he won it.
I'm not clever enough to come up with a good answer on that. I don't have League Pass. The League Pass people are probably going to give me some really clever answer about advanced statistics improved 12% last year, and people will take notice on this roster. I don't have some clever answer like that.
Get it before Zingis.
Porzingis, there we go.
He's got a long way to go up, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
It is doable. It is definitely doable. Defensive Player of the Year? Or is it going to be Giannis again?
Sure.
Maxi Kleber.
Or Kleber?
I'm
Lauri
just
Markkanen.
for my team over here.
Lauri Markkanen for most improved is a good call. Although I don't think he's going to like being on the Cavs. I think he's going to hate being on the Cavaliers.
Trying to think of someone that is like a second tier player that kind of has things to themselves,
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, something like that
have that
is a good
situation.
call. Yeah, something like that.
Like what Julius Randle had this year, basically.
I mean, yeah, Ingram had it, Randall has it. It's that's usually the setup that you need is volume. You're not quite a superstar. You never have been. You probably still aren't. And you've kind of got the keys to the team a little bit.
Yeah. I like Kevin Porter Jr. as a pick for most improved player. That kind of fits the bill in Houston with the Rockets. Christian Wood, I think, is still down there, and they've still got some guys. But I could see Kevin Porter Jr. But he's got to stay on the straight and narrow. Lauri's used to be on the team. Now, the only thing I worry about with Lauri is just that Kevin Love played the same position. Kevin Love hated playing on that team. I think he's still there, though. I don't know.
He is.
Okay. All right.
They're paying him enough to care.
He's got a max contract, too, I think, this year.
All right. This is our last question. This comes from Black. We got through all of them. Kevin Love was a beast when he was bald, but now that he has hair, he sucks. Okay. Yeah. All right. Black Griffin Cards says, WNBA Top Shot, should we invest?
Oh my gosh. Is that real?
That's a real question.
No, is that real? Is that happening?
Oh, yeah, I think it comes out tomorrow.
I think it already came out.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it already came out?
I saw someone post something. I don't know if it was a preview, but I saw someone post.
Oh, yeah, here you go. Asia Wilson, Top Shot. That's kind of a fierce play, actually. Okay, so there's Asia Wilson. This is a common. Oh, they only made 11,250. Well, what do you mean made? That doesn't even make sense to say made. They numbered 11,250 copies. Oh, look, notable sale. The serial number one of this sold for $10,000. Notable sale.
Oh my god, that's a joke, right?
Well, this is what that whole expose on YouTube shed light on.
That guy was like, I spent $50,000 and now my portfolio is worth 20 million. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You seriously? Now, and then it crashed. Now it's only worth $12 million.
Yeah, lots of upside on Top Shot, guys. My portfolio went from my $50,000 or no, he said he put in 200. My 200,000. Who the hell puts 200,000 into Top Shot?
A degenerate gambler.
But what's the gamble? What are you gambling on?
You can't go to the casino, so you just act like that's your slot machine.
There's
Yeah,
Top
that's
Shot.
like,
Can I hear this?
that's insane. That's so ridiculous. That whole segment was like really barf worthy. I spent 200,000 and now it's worth 20 million. It crashed. It's only worth 12. Okay, guy.
But I'm still very bullish on the future.
Like, oh, and the guy's like, can I just like watch the videos? And he's like, clearly, sir, Mr. HBO guy, you don't understand how NFT works and Bitcoin.
Yeah, G, because you get so you're gonna get a bunch of NFTs from him because if you did that in quantity, that's what you got.
How many books did you buy?
Yeah, if you bought 12 copies of the book, you got like an NFT or something.
What's the book cost?
You don't know.
What if the book's $10 and the NFT's worth, $1 million? Shouldn't you just like buy all of his books?
Wow, you're making a lot of sense. I think
All
NFTs eventually get to $1 million.
I just like at this point, no one's ever shown me an NFT that wasn't worth like a shit ton of money.
I know they're all worth a shit ton, and then they go up 10x every night. So,
Can someone show me an NFT that is like worth, it used to be worth 10,000 and now it's worth like $20? Can someone show me that?
I don't know. It's a tradition to buy a pack live on here. No, it's not. That happened once. All right.
Tradition.
Hardcorn asks, question, which is the worst investment? $2,000 into Top Shot or $2,000 into a PSA 10 gold egg card? That's fair because the author of that question is putting his own investment in against another guy's investment. So look, this is in good fun. This question is well intentioned.
God. I don't know. They're both terrible.
I think we have to go with the egg. We have to go with the egg. Because the egg is a card. Yeah,
I guess I'd rather own the egg.
And on this day, Josh admitted he would rather. There's one thing in the world that he wants to own less than an egg card.
Does it even matter which Top Shot it is?
Well, I don't know.
You get to pick.
That's a fair question.
I want a steal. I want a steal, and I want there to be 12,000 copies of it. And if I get the number one, it'll be worth $10,000.
There you go. There you go. All right.
What kind of world is this where people are spending $10,000 of a...
Stiff Arm Wax says the egg enthusiastically.
He actually wants. He's like, no, like legit. I would buy the egg. Like, I know the question's a joke, but I want the egg.
We'll take the egg at the current price. Kelvin wants to know, why was Real Sports segment only white males? Asked Bryant Gumbel. Why is the crossover only white males? It's a very valid observation that Gumbel made, because that was the cross section of the hobby that was shown to him on the video. And if that was an accurate representation, that's one thing. But it wasn't. It's not an accurate representation of the hobby to show that it consists of rich, young white males.
That's who they chose to interview. Let's be clear.
I agree with that. That's my point. Is that and the only question is, how rich are they? Are they $3 million collections, multi-million-dollar card shop flying on private chartered planes, or a $40 million collection living in Malibu? Like, that was the range of diversity. Is like, how rich are you? Whereas the hobby is not that. That is not a representative cross section of this hobby by any shape or by any stretch. you have all walks of life, not just from the United States either. You have people from all over the world who are involved in this hobby. And I felt like especially the Asian collector base, like from Asia, they are so important to this hobby. Philippines, Japan, China, and so forth. To not give that any representation, it's fine because many of them were not at the National for health reasons and travel security reasons and COVID-related reasons, but that in no way is that what they portrayed on HBO. That's not representative of this hobby. So I understand Gumbel's question, but it's because of course, that was what was portrayed to him, but that's not a representation of this hobby.
I went through my mind and was thinking of people who aren't, middle-aged white males in the hobby, and there's so many people I was thinking of. I don't want to sit here and rattle off names because that's weird, but like, there's so many people. So many, like, there's so many guys that aren't, and gals. There's a freaking 1/3 of this show isn't a white male.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I'm working over here so that the two white males can sit here and drink and talk.
Oh, shit.
That's not
so
helping
good.
our cause here.
Get back to work.
And stop putting so many hearts on our video.
That wasn't me that time.
That was
Well,
really
somebody
good.
hearted that comment, Christina.
That was pretty awesome.
Wow, what a note to end our show on.
Yep. Let's Chris, let's meet. Let's go over the financials and let's put everyone else to work.
Calvin, great points. Great point, sir.
All right. Everyone drop one more of their favorite, you're new to the hobby if.
Yeah, let's go. Give us your best, you're new in the hobby if. This is like a Jeff Foxworthy routine, but for the hobby. Morgan Hubbard says the best part of this show is the one-liners from Christina, and it's not close. And she doles them out. She doles them out. She doesn't give one every 10 minutes. They're well placed.
What did Christina say?
She said,
freaking...
Christina said, you're new to the hobby if you do not think Chris and Josh work harder than Christina. Oh, there you go. I think we've got a three-way tie on that front.
You're new to the hobby when your brand is based off copyrighted IP. You're new to the hobby if you show off your Derek Carr collection. Get your card advice from Gary Vee.
You're new to the hobby if you think Stadium Club, Upper Deck, and Skybox are just seating areas.
You're new to the hobby if you don't own an egg card.
You're new to the hobby if Richard has not made you rage quit on Clubhouse.
You're new to the hobby if you don't know that Josh loves Tombstone Pizza. That is correct, sir.
Wow. You are new to the hobby when you say Topps Silvers or Topps Hollows rather than Topps Refractors.
Pretty good.
Very, very good. You're new to the hobby if you don't own a Bowl Prism base.
Uh-oh. I might need to buy one. How much do those cost these days?
Those Bowl Prism bases, those are on the low.
There you go. Stiff arm wax with a good one. You're new to the hobby if you think it's only white males.
Sorry, Mr. Gumbel. Not your fault. See, that's just how it was presented to you.
The guy that was doing the piece was like, well, that's who I interviewed. It's like, yeah, we saw, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, you got to do. It's just not. Just a bunch of rich guys. Even that part of it too. Like just the millionaires and multimillionaires being interviewed. And it's like, wait a minute. There's like most of these collectors are just guys who, spend a couple hundred to a couple grand a month on the hobby. That's what the hobby is for many of us. You're the hobby if you think LCS means League Championship Series instead of local card shop. That's good. You're new to the hobby if you get all your information from people who love squiggly lines. Jambalaya 04 LeBron. Can you add that to card ladder? Interesting. 04?
You're new to the hobby if you ask for card ads during crossover.
No,
That's pretty, I don't know, that's pretty next level. I respect that.
I expect that. I respect that too. I'm just making sure that we don't already have
So Chris, you're new to the hobby if you think Chris's last name is Hoj. He's live.
it. All right, LeBron Jambalaya 04. That's such a niche call out that I'm writing it down.
You're new to the hobby if you don't watch Crossover on Fridays. Are we good? We good to call it?
Let's call it. Thank you guys. Great chat. Great show once again. We will see you all next week.
Card Ladder, the best sports card app on the market. The future of sports cards is here. Card Ladder is the 21st century price guide and market analysis tool for sports cards. The best tools to help you track your cards. Watch the trends, stay informed, compare cards, and track the growth of your personal collection, all in one simple and intuitive platform. Join the innovators, not the imitators. The future is here. The future is now. Card Ladder.